On October 18, 2017, a senseless act of vandalism turned deadly on Interstate 75 in Michigan. Kenneth White, a 32-year-old construction worker, was traveling home from work as a passenger in a van when his life was abruptly ended by a 6-pound rock thrown from an overpass. The rock, hurled by a group of 5 teenagers, smashed through the windshield and struck White, causing fatal injuries. The teenagers, all from the Clio, Michigan area, had been engaging in a dangerous game they referred to as overpassing, where they aimed to hit vehicles with rocks and then shout "Dinger" to acknowledge a successful strike. The group had thrown multiple rocks that day, but it was the one thrown by 18-year-old Kyle Anger, the oldest of the group and the so-called ringleader, that hit White's van. The rock fractured Kenneth White's skull, chest, and caused other facial injuries. He left behind his fiancée and his 5-year-old child. Some sources state that he had 4 children. However, I couldn't find any information about the other 3 kids. After the incident, the group randomly went to eat to the fast food restaurant, and the next day one of the teenagers was questioned at school. On October 20th, after hearing about the victim's death, the 5 teens exchanged text messages, including ones that said, "We could go to prison for life for this, everyone lay low and no one rat us out, and no one saw us, if everyone shuts up we won't get caught." However, a day later, police identified a vehicle the teens fled in and found other evidence, and soon all 5 of them were arrested. The aftermath of the incident saw the teens facing serious legal repercussions. Kyle Anger, who was the one who threw the rock that killed Kenneth White, was the only one of the teens who was tried as an adult, as he was 18 at that time. The case was prolonged due to a dispute over the sentencing of the other 4 teens, with the prosecutor's office seeking to have them treated as juveniles to focus on rehabilitation. However, Judge Joseph Farrar initially blocked this deal, leading to an appeal. The Michigan Court of Appeals later ruled that Farrar had exceeded his authority, and the case was moved back to juvenile court. Here's the final outcome of the case. On August 4, 2021, Alexzander Miller, Mark Sekelsky, Trevor Gray, and Mikadyn Payne were sentenced to probation and community service after spending over 3 years in custody. After completing a year of probation, the 4 will not have a felony record. Yes, you've heard that right. That's all they've got, and they won't have a criminal record. Basically, judges set the following example.
Teenagers, you can easily do this kind of stuff, and soon enough you will be free, and your potential employers or anyone else will never know that you have done something this awful, and your criminal record will be removed. What nice boys you are.
Oh, and here comes the most bitter part. Kyle Anger pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received a sentence of 39 months to 20 years in prison. He was released on parole in January 2021 after serving the minimum 39 months. Yes, the murderer was released just like that, after serving the minimum sentence. I've recently released a video about Cameron Herron, who got 24 years in prison, who killed mother and a toddler by speeding. Where is the reasonable judge when he is needed in the case of Kenneth White? You know, at least Cameron wasn't an evil person with intention to harm people. But these teens, or at least Kyle Anger, is a pure evil who deserves life in prison. Let's just wish this judge, who released Kyle, all of the worst. Think about the devastated Kenneth's family. There is his fiancée and a little boy, his mom and dad, and all of his friends who will never be able to see him. Of course, they protest against such a ridiculous sentence, but there is nothing they can do when the legal system is corrupt and rotten.